A little while back, I made a video about cookie cutter tracks and what happened to all of them, and I used Auto Club Speedway as the thumbnail for it. And the reason for that is because I've seen, while it's not the top priority of maybe media to cover right now, a lot of people talking about this track. And recently, the Los Angeles Times wrote an article about it, and there's been a bit more talk heating up for the Auto Club Speedway's future. None of it being the plans that they have, more or less asking why the hell hasn't there been one. And I think it is time that we need to talk about the Auto Club Speedway, because at this point we're reaching, I think, a path too far gone almost in some ways. These were a few of the facts and different quotes from the Los Angeles Times article to start with, and then we'll go into some of the other problems. They reiterated the importance of the market. Dave Allen from NASCAR was quoted as saying, "We're going to do something, I just don't know what and when yet." Dave Allen also says building where Auto Club Speedway was is option number one, but they need time to sort things out and figure out what to do next. And what I have to ask is, it's been years at this point. The last race at Auto Club Speedway was a little over 2 years ago, and the plans that came out about Auto Club Speedway changing had to have been about half a decade ago at this point. They've already sold 433 of the 522 acres that it formerly was on for approximately $569 million, which has been almost exclusively taken up by an industrial park with warehouses everywhere. And to me, at this point, you got to look at the writing on the wall that you're basically looking at the husk of this racetrack, what's left, what was the initial plan, but nothing else but warehouses and buildings around it. No real infrastructure for a racetrack other than what's left of the old one. And Allen also said, quote, "If you had 300 acres and wanted to build a racetrack and be partner with us, then we would listen." So I think it's keeping the property warm and being able to do different things with it. And you just adjust depending on the market and needs of the market. We're kind of just in a holding pattern. And that kind of goes with what Steve Phelps also said on SiriusXM Radio a couple of weeks ago as well. Now, these are all not really good signs when it comes to just getting this particular project built, in my opinion. They can say all they want, but at this point, it's almost like it's keeping hope alive for fans and media with nothing really in return to them outside of that. But I think what nobody is talking about with this Auto Club deal is the current lawsuit that NASCAR is in with 2311 and Front Row. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking I'm shoehorning this in, but I have a real reason for this. This lawsuit is about them being a monopoly. And if they lose, there's the possibility of NASCAR's assets being moved around. Why would NASCAR throw a ton of money at a project and a property like this with the lawsuit still pending through the end of the year? Why would there be any investments that were huge in any way when it comes to a single location if this was the issue? If they were to lose, NASCAR and ISC, could they have been maybe broken up after this? If so, how would the finances be split? And would NASCAR be pretty much just out of luck if they dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into making a brand new racetrack in the ashes of the old? Those are things I think should be thought of, and I think a lot of people aren't thinking of either. So maybe to keep hope alive, and maybe this is me trying to rationalize it this way, they're just waiting until 2026. But it sounds like that at the earliest that we figure out anything will be 2026 or 2027 more or less. And there's some pretty big problems with this project as well as the things surrounding it that NASCAR might be investing in and looking at. First off, there is the area. There's only around 90 or so, maybe even less, acres left that they currently still own. It includes the front stretch, the grandstands, and parts of the garage area. And NASCAR has pretty much said that the garage area would have to be outside the track because of how small the track would be. It would almost be a mix of Bristol and Martinsville from the initial planning. And the question you got is, where does the parking go? For instance, if you're going to have 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people, depending on how much you build up the grandstands, where are all those people going to park? where are all those people going to stay if everywhere around it's an industrial park? Those are questions that have to be posed. And when you see Dave Allen talk about the fact that maybe if somebody had 300 acres they want to partner with and go with that, they'd build a new somewhere else, that might be the most cost-effective and easiest way for the industry and fans alike. And look at the area right now. The land right now is worth a ton more. And if NASCAR holds out over time, there's no reason to think that the value of that land won't go up and they can make even more money off of it from somebody who's desperate to be in the area. Supply and demand. It is something that is part of sports business, whether that is selling seats and having people watch on TV or selling assets as well. And another problem that this particular project has is that the real option of a San Diego street race is looming. It has been on the radar for a while. They've talked about a San Diego street race as part of the initial plans of expansion to street racing even before the Chicago event happened. And it's looking like at this time, because of being the last year of the contract, that the Chicago street race might be in its final year. And I don't think that they're just going to have San Diego take over its date whenever in the season. They're probably going to have it take over a date of somewhere around it, or wherever that Southern California date would have been, like Auto Club. And that is probably going to be the biggest investment they make in the area. Why would you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a new track if you're spending possibly $100 million on a street race over however long the contract is, if not more money? It just doesn't make sense to be pouring that much money in. I get they have a lot more, but it's not like NASCAR is just going to throw it all away into a burning pile of fire. And you got to think of the area too. I know a lot of people roll their eyes at this because of how much money NASCAR has, but California is expensive to build in, and the land holds a lot of value. NASCAR is still cost-cutting. They're still testing different ways to save and trying to save and make more money and get back in the black rather than the red. In my opinion, I honestly don't have high hopes anymore for this. I really like the idea of the short track. I've thought it was a good idea from the start. Even though I love the racing at the 2 Mile Auto Club, it's going to have to get repaved, and we'll be having terrible racing and probably terrible attendance over the span of 5 to 8 years like it was before and like Michigan was. The car might mitigate it a little bit, but it's something that NASCAR really couldn't afford in that area. They needed returns in that moment for bad decisions they made in the past. And until proven otherwise, I see no reason why we should be positive that they're going to do anything with this plot of land and with this track other than tear it down and sell it. Unless something is announced, I just don't see a path. Maybe there is. I hope there is, and I want to be proven wrong. But with that, I want to know what you think. What do you think the future of Auto Club Speedway and NASCAR in Southern California is? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.